Hey there! Welcome to our channel, where imagination is always in bloom, and reading stories together creates unforgettable memories. Today we're diving into a world where lost voices find their way back to listeners like you. So let's meet our heroine, Mira. She might not have been the loudest kid in town, but her thoughts and dreams were anything but small. However, every time she had something to say, her voice would shrink. It was as if her big ideas got tangled up inside her, turning her thoughts into whispers. One day, while helping tidy up the classroom, Mira stumbled upon a mysterious book. It was covered in silver stars instead of words and felt different from all the other books in the room. Curiosity got the best of her and she decided to take it home. As soon as she opened it, magical things started to happen. Words appeared before her eyes, forming a message that seemed to come from the stars themselves. The book revealed a secret. Mira was a listener. But what did that mean? That's when a whispering wind swept through the room, opening the window. Outside, the trees swayed despite having no leaves, and the clouds swirled in patterns she'd never seen before. Suddenly, the book spoke again, guiding her to a place where the road ended. Following the mysterious path, Mira walked towards a huge oak tree. As she reached out to touch it, a door materialized right before her eyes. It was a deep purple color and adorned with shimmering golden handles. Taking a deep breath, Mira turned the handle and walked through. On the other side awaited a world unlike any she'd ever known. Towering libraries stretched into the sky and colorful staircases floated among the clouds. Enchanted creatures peeked from behind books and friendly faces smiled warmly at her. Then she noticed a regal-looking woman knitting on a nearby armchair. Her silver hair cascaded down her shoulders like a waterfall, and her kind eyes twinkled with wisdom. As Mira approached, the woman greeted her with a gentle smile and introduced herself as Madame Lexa, the keeper of this extraordinary place. Madame Lexa explained that this was the library of lost voices. Every word that had been unspoken, every story left untold, every dream pushed aside found refuge within these magical walls. And Mira discovered that she possessed the rare ability to hear these voices. She learned that her special gift was to seek out these lost voices, understand their stories, and return them to the world. But it wasn't an easy task. Each voice needed to be carefully nurtured, and sometimes it took more than just listening to set them free. The old woman presented Mira with a lantern crafted from starlight and glass, which would guide her to the voices in need of her help. Before sending her off on her first quest, Madame Lexa entrusted Mira with 3 important tasks. These 3 books held the voices of those who had never been listened to, never been understood, or never been given a chance. Mira's journey would take her to 3 different places, each marked by a unique symbol, where she would uncover the stories behind these voices and bring them back to the world. The lantern in her hand grew warm, guiding her steps toward the first destination. As she walked, she couldn't shake off a feeling of anticipation mixed with a touch of nervousness. This was just the beginning of her incredible adventure. Arriving at an old wooden house, Mira knocked on the door. An elderly gentleman opened it, revealing a dimly lit interior filled with antiques. Inside, nestled amidst the clutter, was a worn leather armchair and an old woman fast asleep in it. Mira gently woke her up and introduced herself, explaining her mission to find the lost voices. The old woman's eyes flickered with recognition as she leaned closer to Mira, sharing a secret only they could hear. "This house holds a secret, a voice from long ago," she whispered. "A writer dreamed here, pouring his soul into tales of wonder and delight." His words echoed these halls, but nobody heard them. They were too afraid to listen. Together, Mira and the old woman delved deeper into the secrets of the house. The more they uncovered, the more they realized that the writer's stories had magical powers. Each tale had the potential to transport readers to different worlds, ignite their imaginations, and leave them forever changed. But fear had gripped the townspeople, causing them to reject the writer's fantastical stories and pushing him to keep them hidden away. Realizing the injustice, Mira and the old woman made a plan to share the writer's stories with the world. They gathered his books, carefully preserving their timeless charm, and organized a grand storytelling event in a town square. On that magical evening, Mira, and the old woman captivated the audience with tales of bravery, friendship, and enchantment. As the stories unfolded, the townspeople were transformed. Their hearts soared, their imaginations ran wild, and they embraced the beauty of the written word once again. Just as the final story came to an end, a shooting star streaked across the night sky, symbolizing the writer's voice finding its way back into the hearts of his readers. With the first voice successfully returned, Mira's lantern guided her to her next destination, a bustling marketplace filled with vibrant colors, enticing aromas, and lively chatter. Yet, beneath the surface, she sensed the discordant notes, a story waiting to be heard. As she explored the market, Mira noticed an elderly musician sitting alone on a nearby bench. His weathered hands rested on an old guitar, and his eyes held a distant sadness. Upon learning of the musician's tale, Mira was deeply moved. Decades ago, he had poured his heart and soul into his music, creating melodies that touched the very core of people's beings. His songs spoke of love, loss, and hope, resonating with those who had experienced life's joys and sorrows. However, the townspeople had failed to appreciate his gift. They ridiculed his music, deeming it too melancholy or not lively enough. Their rejection had shattered his spirit, causing him to abandon his beloved guitar and retreat from the world. Determined to right this wrong, Mira decided to organize a concert in the town square. She invited renowned musicians from neighboring towns, each bringing their unique style and passion for music. On the night of the concert, the square was filled with eager listeners. As the music swelled through the air, the crowd's laughter and applause echoed through the streets. People of all ages swayed to the rhythm, their hearts lifted by the enchanting melodies. And there, amidst the vibrant energy of the audience, sat the old musician. Tears glistened in his eyes as he witnessed the impact his music had on the community. Then, during a particularly moving piece, Mira joined the musicians on stage. Together they played the old man's forgotten songs, allowing his voice to soar once again. As the final notes faded away, the crowd erupted into thunderous applause. The old musician, his heart filled with gratitude, realized that his voice had finally been heard. Emboldened by her successes, Mira continued her journey, her lantern leading her to the third and final destination, a place where shadows seemed to linger and whispers echoed through the trees. Deep within a secluded forest, Mira discovered a hidden clearing bathed in an ethereal glow. At its center stood a majestic oak tree, its branches reaching towards the sky like beckoning arms. As she approached the tree, she felt an overwhelming sense of sadness and loss. The ancient oak had witnessed countless seasons, yet it stood strong and resilient. But it longed for someone to hear its silent story. Mira sat at the base of the tree, closing her eyes, and listened intently. The oak shared tales of joyous celebrations beneath its canopy, of lovers who pledged their eternal devotion amidst its branches, and of families who found solace in its shade. It spoke of how these cherished moments had woven themselves into the very fabric of the tree, becoming an integral part of its being. However, with each passing year, the townspeople had become disconnected from nature, forgetting the profound bond they once shared with the ancient oak. Mira's heart ached for the tree's loneliness. Realizing that the townspeople had unwittingly severed their connection with this vital part of their heritage, determined to reunite the community with the oak, Mira organized a festival in the forest.